consider the possibility that the Indiana Fever are in on the plot to destroy Caitlin Clark. Stephanie White is an idiot, should be fired.
Indiana Fever fans are done holding back. Their patience has run out, and across social media, the demand for change is getting louder every day. Many are now calling for new leadership, with growing support for bringing in Larry Bird while moving on from Stephanie White.
Is the cash cow. She is box office. When she plays, the ratings go up, revenue goes up, interest goes up. When she doesn't play, it plummets. 36% drop in the ratings for All-Star Weekend for the WNBA a few weeks ago. Last year, she didn't miss a game. This year, she missed 17 games. This is a person that everything she touches with women's basketball turns to gold. Didn't have chartered jets until she arrived. She arrived, they had chartered jets 2 minutes late.
Before calling this an overreaction, it's important to understand that these concerns aren't new. Indiana Fever fans have been growing increasingly frustrated with how the team is operating, especially when it comes to how Caitlin Clark, arguably the biggest name in women's basketball right now, is being utilized, managed, and valued within the organization. Once you take a closer look at the situation, you might even start to see why so many fans feel this way. So what exactly is going on, and why are Fever supporters so upset? And perhaps most importantly, is there any real chance that Larry Bird could step in?
Indiana Fever fans, so let's keep it real, let's keep it 100 like a Ben Frank, you hear me? So let me ask y'all again, is Stephanie White a good coach, a great coach? I'm waiting. No, she not even close. If anything, she puts a star in the offense. She's sucking the life out of the team, out of the franchise. And Kelly Krostoff, whatever her name is, Lynn Dunn, you hear me? They all.
If you've spent any time around Indiana Fever discussions lately, especially online, you can clearly sense the intensity building among the fan base. The energy isn't just excitement, it's frustration that has been growing over time. Many fans believe there's a clear and repeating pattern behind the team's struggles, and they point to when Stephanie White took over as head coach as the moment things started to go wrong. The concern being raised is simple but strong. Supporters feel that the system and overall approach are not being built around Caitlin Clark, who is widely seen as the centerpiece and future of the franchise. In their view, maximizing her strengths and shaping the team around her should be the top priority, yet they don't feel that's happening. As a result, the frustration continues to grow, with fans becoming more vocal about what they believe needs to change.
He's the sole reason, period. I'm tired of people saying, oh, it just happened. It was just a coincidence. Oh, it was already trending up. Let's just even look at this chart behind us. These are all the years in the past, 12, 13 years, and that's 500K. These numbers, for the most part, weren't even close to 500K. When Caitlin comes, look at what happens. Don't tell me Caitlin ain't the reason. Caitlin is the reason why they just got that money they just got. Caitlin is the reason why they stay in amazing hotels. Caitlin is the reason why they getting all the stuff that they got. All the charting the flights. Literally, Caitlin is.
To really understand why this situation matters so much right now, you have to look at what the Indiana Fever actually are as a franchise. This isn't a team with a long history of dominance or a roster stacked with elite talent at every position. Instead, what truly sets them apart and what gives them hope for the future is Caitlin Clark. She has quickly become the foundation of the team's identity and its biggest reason for relevance. The packed arenas, the surge in TV ratings, and the growing national attention are all largely driven by her presence. She's the main reason the Fever are even being talked about as a potential contender moving forward. Both the league and the fans clearly recognize her impact, which is why many supporters are now questioning whether Stephanie White fully understands just how central Clark is to the team's success and future direction.
One priority was to land Kelsey in free agency again. Just how important was she to your team this year? How important has she been to the Fever? Obviously, the 8 years she's been with the franchise, and how badly do you want to keep her around?
I mean, yeah, she was the number one priority a year ago, and she's the number one priority this year. She's been so important. And, I said this last year, Kelsey deserves to go through this stage of her Indiana Fever career. She's been through sort of the worst of the worst, for lack of a better term, in and out of the building, growing pains with getting the organization back. You don't get back-to-back number one picks unless you've been at the bottom for a while, right? And she showed up like a pro every day, and she just continues to work and continues to grow, and she carried the franchise, and she carries the teams in different ways. And
This is the point where the frustration really started to boil over. Stephanie White publicly emphasized that a major part of her vision for the Indiana Fever revolves around Kelsey Mitchell. To be clear, no one is denying Mitchell's talent. She's a proven scorer and absolutely valuable to the team. However, the concern from fans begins when the offensive system appears to be built more around her style instead of prioritizing Caitlin Clark. Clark is coming off a major return, has earned international MVP recognition, and is already being discussed as a top contender for future league MVP honors. From the fans' perspective, when a player of that level isn't clearly the centerpiece of the system, it feels like a major misstep. That's where many believe the team may be losing its direction and why the criticism has become so intense.
Appears to be major decisions ahead of the Indiana Fever front office, Amber Cox, Kelly Krauskopf, and head coach Stephanie White. And the truth be told, we don't trust any of them based on the blunders that they made last offseason. And it appears the Indiana Fever might make the crucial mistake. And maybe it's not even a mistake on their end. Stephanie White has already come out and said how Kelsey Mitchell is the number one priority and how she wants to build this team around Kelsey Mitchell. And if they are committing to giving her a multi-year max contract, they've officially chose Kelsey Mitchell over Caitlin.
Fans are struggling to accept this, even before the 2026 season begins. Many feel early decisions suggest that Caitlin Clark will be forced to fit into a system instead of leading it. However, when she recently ran the offense during international play, she showed exactly what she can do with full control, dominating the game and strengthening her MVP case. That's why the frustration is growing. Supporters believe that when Clark is trusted as the centerpiece, she elevates the entire team. So when Stephanie White highlights a system where Kelsey Mitchell is also a key focus, it raises doubts about whether the team is truly building in the right direction.
That there's still so much in her, and I tell her every day, like, I love being her coach.
Okay, I don't see it as building a team around Kelsey Mitchell, but I just don't like her words because it does sound like, oh, we gotta give her the chance to lead the team and stuff like that, and like it's a rite of passage, like it's a born right or something for her. Lady, the reason why you came to the Fever wasn't because of Kelsey Mitchell, ding dong. The main reason why you came to the Fever is because of Caitlin Clark. Let's keep it a buck. That's the same thing with Kelly Krauskopf and all these goons like Amber Heard and all them jokers all came for Caitlin Clark. If Caitlin Clark was not there, would she flock to the Indiana Fever after the Connecticut Sun run? No, she wouldn't. So stop this nonsense about priority this, priority that. Okay? Just
To understand the source of fan frustration, you need to look back at 2025. Caitlin Clark played only 13 games, averaging 16.5 points, 8.8 assists, and 5 rebounds. When she was on the court, the Fever played like a completely different team, full of energy and rhythm. Unfortunately, injuries, a left quad strain, groin strains, and a severe left ankle bone bruise kept her sidelined during the team's run to Game 5 of the WNBA semifinals. Fans watched her support her teammates from the sidelines, but they also saw how crucial she was to the team's success. While Stephanie White isn't blamed for the injuries, this period made fans realize just how much the Fever depend on Clark and intensified their scrutiny of team decisions.
With Caitlin, but, I think first and foremost, as she builds up her endurance, her on-the-court activity, making sure that she's healthy, and then continuing to move forward in terms of mechanics. Number one, and number two, basketball. She's got to, at some point in this off season, play 5-on-5. It's going to have been a long time since she has, and so how we How we get that together, we'll have to see. We'll continue to have those conversations, but once she's feeling good from a movement standpoint, from a soreness standpoint, and then building back that endurance on the floor without losing some of those, mechanical tweaks and mechanical improvements, then we'll start building back.
Throughout the 2025 season, Stephanie White was often questioned about how Caitlin Clark's injuries were being handled. Her answers were always measured and professional, emphasizing patience, long-term health, and not rushing Clark back onto the court. Taken on their own, these are the fundamentals of responsible coaching, and in theory, the right approach. However, fans saw things differently. They noticed that even when Clark was gradually returning to action, she was treated with such extreme caution that it sometimes looked like hesitation. Observers began to ask whether the same strategy would have been applied if she were the star of any other team. When your team reaches the semifinals, but your key player only plays 13 games in the season, it naturally leads to questions about what might have been. Fans wondered how much more dominant the Fever could have been if Clark had been fully built around, carefully protected from the start, and strategically managed throughout the season. From the very beginning, the perception was that her potential wasn't fully leveraged, and that has fueled much of the ongoing frustration.